Hey everyone, it's your good buddy Spider. Late again. I have a good reason for it this time. If you'll indulge me. And I'm also eating. I'm having a snack because it's been a few hours, and I'm real hungry, and I have not had time since dinner. Which you might think, well, you had dinner. Why are you still eating? Because that was 5 hours ago. So pardon me while I kind of chew in your ear a little bit. I'm late on this episode by a day because I had 2 videos plus a game stream plus a bunch of stuff to do around the house yesterday, and I didn't get to it. I meant to, and I didn't. It was on the schedule, and I just couldn't get to it. So now you have me eating a snack a day late, exhausted. But the various remodeling things we've been doing around the house that I was talking about in the last episode, they're coming along. It's really starting to look good. So I'm feeling good about that whole situation. There's only a little bit left to do. And then we can all breathe a sigh of relief. A big hefty sigh. So what's new? It is getting cold. Well, colder. I think the last episode that it was starting to get cold. It's getting colder, and it's been raining a lot for days here in Ohio, which is probably a good thing because we went for quite a while without any rain, and so it was kind of like a mini drought, a late fall mini drought. Crunch, excuse me. And but it's been raining constantly, and I've had to be in and out of the house, going back and forth to the hardware store and to different places. So I've gotten rained on a lot. And it has not been pleasant, because I do not like to be rained on. I don't like to be wet, generally. I don't really like to swim. I can. I know how to swim, so I won't drown. I don't like to. I don't go to the pool. The only time I don't mind is my daily shower. I take a daily shower every morning. It's the first thing. If you go back and you listen to my A Day in the Life episode, I explained that the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning usually is have a cup of coffee. And then the second thing after that cup of coffee is done is I take a shower. So I have a shower every single day, and that part I don't mind. I don't mind getting water poured on me in that instance. But other times I'm not a big fan. Never really been a big fan. Rain kind of makes me miserable. Not just it raining in general, but being out in it. It makes me miserable. And the cough I've had from the dust and everything we've stirred up with the remodeling and the cleaning and pulling up the carpet from the last couple of weeks, it's turned into some kind of a cold. I don't know if maybe it's a sinus infection or what it is, but so I feel kind of awful all the way around. Excuse me. I don't know if you can tell by my voice. It's not quite as peppy, I guess. For me, I'm not, a peppy person, but I'm a little. I have a distinct lack of pep. You could say. And I know I am just chawing away at this food here. So I feel kind of bad that you have to listen to me, but at the same time, it's good, and I don't, and I'm hungry, so you get what you get. I don't think you guys tune in for high class, like hyper produced good behavior, do you? If you do, I think you've taken a wrong turn back in Albuquerque. But the rest of you who understand it, I think I'm not very sophisticated. Maybe you're willing to forgive me, and maybe you're not. Maybe you hate the sound of people eating, and maybe this episode is like the worst thing you've ever heard from me. In that case, I kind of feel bad, but at the same time, I am really hungry. In current events, we are still we're still in a government shutdown for some dumb reason that nobody seems to know exactly whose fault it is, but they're still going to blame each other for it anyway, right? There's a lot of arguing back and forth, and there's a lot of things going on. And I don't know. It might get back on track sometime soon. It might not. It's right now the longest government shutdown in recent history, from what I remember. Which is just mind-boggling. It really is. Absolutely mind-boggling. What do you think? Do you think it's justified? Do you think it's justified to ever shut down the government because they can't agree on a budget or whatever? What do you think? I don't think it is. I think all of those people... Because, when a government shutdown happens, you have a lot of federal workers that don't get paid. They have to work for free. A lot of them are furloughed. There are some firings. There's some layoffs. But for the most part, the rank and file, just to get the basic things done, they have to keep working, and they work for free. So I should think that... excuse me, that everyone, if anyone is going to work for free, then they should all work for free during a shutdown. All the various political spokespeople, all the different party members, I think that's fair. I don't think you'd have very many shutdowns in that case, because these people are used to their lifestyles at this point, right? Oh, excuse me. They're used to being well taken care of by the almighty tax dollar. Excuse me. That's going to come up a lot. I'm going to have to cough a lot, so I am going to apologize for that. I'm not going to apologize for my eating, but I will apologize for coughing, because I know that's troublesome. I don't like hearing people cough around me constantly. It drives me crazy, and so I feel bad when I have to do it to other people. But yeah, the government shutdown. I don't know. I think it's... I've already said this, so I don't want to get too deep into it, but it just doesn't make any sense to me. So what else is going on in the world? What else is going on in the world? There was a young man in my town over this past year who went missing, and they figured out basically what happened to him. They he had this ex-con roommate who they were kind of in a relationship, but they weren't. But they were. I don't know. The details are still a little murky. And he apparently confessed to ending this young man's life, but could not tell anybody where the remains were. So it's been months since the guy went missing, and when they picked up the doer of the deed, and they've just recently been able to identify some remains, and that's too bad. It's good closure for the family, I guess, but it's too bad how that all panned out, and that happens a lot these days for some reason. I mean, people doing violent things to each other is basically human nature. And I know some people out there are going to be like, I don't do that, that's not my nature. Well, no, it doesn't have to be your nature specifically, but as a species, we are kind of an inherently violent species. We're very competitive with each other, we use harsh language. Violence isn't always fists and arrows, And so people have been, doing these kind of things to each other since the beginning of human history, which is a shame that we're still doing it today for even less valid reasons. Like back then, perhaps it was to gain a better field for your crops that your neighbor had but you didn't, or somebody had the eye of the person you wanted to have the eye of. Not like literally, but in a romantic way, and so you had to off them to make yourself look better. And I'm not justifying any of these things, I'm just saying people would fight over meals, people would fight over different things. Now there's a lot less motivation sometimes for these things. A lot of people just do things because they like, oh, I don't like that person, so that's it, and they take them out, or they attempt to. Or that person looked at me funny. Maybe they got a lazy eye or something. Maybe they didn't mean to look at you funny. Maybe they didn't know that they were looking at you funny. Maybe they just glanced at you and then remembered a funny joke or something. I don't know. And then you took them out. That's not, that's not appropriate. And there's a lot of that kind of thing that happens. A lot of casual, just people do things. And between that and the mass events that happens, let me get my grammar right. And those are kind of weird because people will plan these things out for weeks or even months. And there's always signs, like after it's all said and done, people will say, oh yeah, well, we should have seen because of this and this behavior and this, but we didn't know they were going to do this. There's a lot of that kind of talk that happens. And people like to blame access to weapons, and they like to blame, radicalization and different things like that. But it says people just get crazy. And I don't use crazy as an insulting way. It's they legitimately have issues. And something snaps. And they think the only way to get noticed or to accomplish what they want to accomplish is to go out and do something big like that. And it's really unfortunate. We should be able to recognize that kind of stuff. And we're so bad at it because it keeps happening. You know what I mean? And I don't mean that we should have something set up to try to predict these kind of things to prevent them from happening in a way that infringes on people, like Minority Report. Everybody remember that movie? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. It was a book first, and then it was an okay movie where they used AI and all kinds of tech, and then they used like telepathic abilities to see someone committing a crime before they do it. So then they go out of their way to arrest them ahead of time for what they're going to commit, not what they did commit. And that's an interesting sci-fi concept, but if that kind of thing, it's a real tricky line to walk if you do it in practice, because a lot of people will plan things and they'll be like, "This is it. I'm gonna do this because these people they made me so angry." But they switch off at the last minute because something in their brain's like, "No, you can't do this. This is terrible. This is awful. Why would you do this? You're gonna disappoint your family, or you're gonna do, you know." And it prevents them from doing it, and then they either seek help or they take other kind of drastic measures, which is also unfortunate. But either way. So the end result is they don't actually do what they're planning on doing. So if you're going to be so proactive that you target people like that, like they did in the movie, that's a fine line to walk. And it's too easy to abuse something like that. Because our thoughts are the way they are. Like, how many times have you had the thought where somebody just made you really angry for something they said or something they did, and you just had the urge just to slap them upside the head? Not necessarily even like full on punch them or fight them or beat them up or anything. Just to slap them. That's technically an assault if you make the attempt to slap somebody, with battery being the actual contact. Assault is making the attempt to hurt someone, and battery is the actual contact of connecting. There's some law for everybody, if you didn't know. And there's degrees of that, of course. I mean, you know, because there's verbal assault and different things. But how many times have you thought that, but then calmed down, been like, no, there's no point in doing that. You know, it's not fair, or it's just going to get me in trouble and I don't want to. Like, whether you're thinking about it for self-preservation or for the good of the community or whoever you're angry with, you talk yourself down, right? You calm yourself down, you say, no, I'm not going to do that. But what if somebody would show up, like, within a little while after you've had that initial thought that I'm going to I just want to slap that person. Somebody shows up and be like, oh, you're under arrest. You thought about assaulting that person, so it counts as assault. It's crazy to think about, but it could happen. And with all the cameras around and everything that's in a lot of the cities now, I'm not getting conspiratorial. I'm not saying that, Big Brother is watching you, but there are a lot of cameras connected to a lot of authority figures. And that's not conspiracy, that's just a fact of thing that happens. So they can prevent crime and do this and do whatever, but often it can be used just to spy on people. And I don't mean in a super nefarious, like, we're going to control the entire population. I just think it's maybe get a quick buck from an arrest. Like, if you get arrested and you have to charge bail, you know, they get a few bucks. So it's like a money-making scheme, right? I don't know why we got on this topic, to be honest. I don't know. But it is terribly difficult to prevent and predict these big events. I think it should be simpler, like mostly because we should be able to see. We should be able to recognize the signs of mental anguish that people are going through that drives them to do this kind of thing. We're good at turning a blind eye to people's problems. And I'll admit it, I'm not exempting myself from that. I'm very much focused on an incredibly small circle of trust, I suppose you could call it, which mostly just involves my own family and maybe a couple other sort of people, but not many. outside of my particular close bonds, I don't pay too much attention to what other people are doing out in the wider world, and I don't particularly put a lot of thought or effort towards it. And I'm sure that comes off as like a selfish thing, but I'm taking care of my family. My family are who's important to me. And if you spread yourself too thin trying to rid the world of evil and wrongdoing, so to speak, then you're just going to end up burning yourself out. No one person can do that. You cannot save the world from itself. Is how I look at it. Which again is kind of cynical, but it's how it is. Because if you try to do too much, you end up hurting yourself, hurting people around you, neglecting things that you shouldn't have neglected. You can't save the world from itself. I'll be the first to admit I am not the hero of this particular film. And that's fine. Some people will go out of their way to make themselves the hero. They'll go to all the protests, and they'll go to county hall meetings, and they'll write to their senators, and they'll do fundraisers and all this stuff. And you know what? That's fine. That's great for you. I don't know how much of a difference you're actually making when I can look out in the world and actively see things getting worse. But if you want to try, you're welcome to it. I'm not going to tell you to stop. Like me, I wouldn't. And I don't want people to say, "Oh, you said we were wasting our time." But I don't mean that. I mean, I'm not going to waste my time going to one of the No Kings protests like the one they just had recently. And again, that's not to say that anyone going is wasting their time. What you do with your time is valuable to you. So, if I say I'm not going to waste my time by going, that's my specific time. That's not to say, on the whole, that it is a waste of time for anyone to go. I'm not applying that to everyone outside myself. I'm only considering it for myself. Because I don't think, personally, that these big protest events have had any impact. Nothing really has changed towards giving the protest people what they're asking for. The needle hasn't really moved in their favor. And I don't know, maybe you see it differently than I do. Maybe you see all kinds of change and a lot of things going on, but getting 1 million people in a march for a day is not necessarily... It does not necessarily cause ripples in a pond, is what I'm saying. It looks good in the moment. It looks like, oh, look at all these people, they're standing up for this that they believe in and whatnot. But then you have to successively follow what happens after that and see if anything has changed, if the environment has altered, if there's been different decisions. And I don't see any of that happening. I don't see any legislation that's different from what was happening before then. And I don't see people continuing to be engaged. People will hear, oh, there's a big protest this month, right? One day out of the month. Oh, yeah, there's a big protest, let's go. Every other day, what are they doing? They're doing whatever else they want to do. They're not out there every single day pushing the issues. Not that I think that would have any impact necessarily, but it shows a different level of commitment, right? And if you're going to be involved in something like that, you need to have a commitment. You need to be really committed to what you're doing. And I'm not telling people don't protest, because there have been plenty of times during my life where I've felt the need to be kind of a protester of my own kind. I don't go out and join mass groups of that kind of thing, but on certain issues I've been known to raise a fuss. And so if you're going to do that, you have to have conviction and be committed to the cause that you've joined, or that you espouse, or that you vocalize about, or whatever. I'm almost done with my food, by the way. This is the last piece. Everybody hears me talk for a while, and then all of a sudden, nom, 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 nom. I know, you probably hate it. So I didn't go to the most recent No Kings protest. I didn't feel like going was worth my particular time. My specific time. My unique time. If you went and you felt accomplished and you felt camaraderie and all these great feelings, you know what? That's great. I'm not going to tell you that you didn't, or that you, like, again, I'm not going to tell you that you wasted your time, because you get to choose the value of your time. That's not up to me. But I didn't go, and I had no intention of going, and I'm probably not going to go to any that come up. And I know there's a lot of people out there also who are going to say, well, you know what, silence equals consent. And no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. There's a lot of things that I find kind of distasteful going on right now. But I don't think marching in the streets is making a difference. I don't. I think the people who are going to make a difference, who are the representatives that you were supposed to have voted in during the last congressional election, they're dropping the ball. If that's how you feel about it. If you're on the other side, then you're probably feeling ecstatic. You're probably like, oh yeah, we're making so many gains. La la la, you're all just jealous. I don't know. I'm not for or against either. I'm not part of that debate. Which, again, I know some people are like, even if you don't make a choice, you've made a choice. Sure, but it's not the choice that you think I made. Just because I'm not out there protesting doesn't mean that I'm supportive of different things, and I don't think I need to say what I'm supportive and what I'm not. I think that's my personal business. Especially if I'm not going out there and speaking harm against people. Like, I'm not going out counter-protesting. I'm not going on the internet and saying, well, you know what, all these people to protest, they're this kind of person, and those kind of people are awful. I'm not saying that, and I'm not even saying that I believe that. I'm just minding my business. I have a very short list of enemies at this point in my life. And only one of them is somebody that I would ever speak particularly ill about. Most of the rest of them I ignore. I keep an eye out, but I ignore them. Only one person really deserves my daily dose of just, what an awful human being, right? And you people know who it is already. And I'm not going to continue to talk about that person at length because they don't deserve it, so. So no. I did not go to the protest, and I'm not going to go to any future protests. And that goes for both parties. I didn't protest the last administration. I did do some protesting of my own against local statutes during the last cycle. And But that wasn't against like a particular party. Um, and it wasn't against any particular issues or anything like that. It was local ordinances that were changing rapidly that I had some issues with. So we've really been all over the place tonight, haven't we? All over the place. It's kind of a dour set of topics, you know? It kind of grinds on you. The kind of just awful things that go on on a daily basis in the world. You get kind of... I've had a couple of shows now where I've had to talk about mental health and things of that nature. And this is the kind of thing that puts people in a bad place mentally. All these things going on. And so you have to kind of divorce yourself from a lot of it. Even if you feel really strongly about some things, you kind of have to put the brakes on, separate yourself, take time out, and just be like, no, I'm not worrying about this today. It may be horrible, it might be awful, but there's nothing right at this moment that I can conceivably do to change it, so I'm not going to worry about it right now. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to focus on my own business. And I think more people should do that. I think more people should take a time out, focus on your own personal business, and then come at something when you're more clear-headed and when you're feeling a little bit more in control. Because we all have a tendency to kind of feel like things are unraveling and outside of our control. And that's kind of one of the worst feelings for a lot of people. When you just do not have control over things and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. But if it's not something that directly is part of your actual day-to-day life, then step away from it for a minute or two. Step away from it for a day or two. Step away from it for a week or two. Just focus on you. It's not selfish. It's not self-centered. Just focus on feeling better, on being a better person, and maybe with your family or whoever else is close to you. Some people aren't close with their family. Some people have a close circle of friends instead. Just focus on them, right? Focus on them instead of some stranger that you've never actually met, but who goes out of their way to piss you off on a daily basis on a big screen. You watch them on the TV and they just grind your gears down daily after daily after daily. Just take a breath, step back, don't worry about them. That's what I do, and I feel pretty good most days, to be honest. I feel pretty good about my choices most days. And I got my bad days. I have my off days. Like this last couple of weeks have just been exhausting and frustrating in many different ways. But it's all for the better. I'm going to have a nicer home. It's going to be more comfortable. It's all going to benefit in the end. So feeling kind of frazzled about it is only temporary. So, moving on. I'm not sure actually where to move on to be fair. Because I got off track with last night not being able to do a topic, I didn't have my notes prepared like usual for what I intended to talk about, and I completely forgot what I was going to talk about. And so I'm kind of just here for the second week in a row, just babbling for no particular reason. But how are you doing? How are you feeling? If you want to talk about it, by all means, drop me an email, or you can put a comment on this on Spotify or any of the other podcast platforms that allow comments. Spreaker does if you join. I think you can join for free. I think they have like a power listener program or something where you can excuse me, like a premium service. I think they have in addition to the free one, but I'm pretty sure you can join for free and just you can listen to this podcast on Spreaker for free. I don't know if you can comment unless you join, but again, joining is also free unless you want to be a premium person. I don't know what benefits you get from that. It's been a long time since I looked at the benefits of paying for Spreaker. I know you can also subscribe. Excuse me. Excuse me. Pardon me. You can subscribe to individual podcasters, like myself, which is great. So, yeah, you can contact me. You can not, you're not gonna call me up on the phone and be like, "Hey, so I listened to your podcast and I wanted to talk to you." I'm not a self-help line. I'll say that. I'm not, and I don't mean to say that in a flippant sort of like, I don't care about your problems, kid. I just mean, don't go looking for my phone number and try to be that close with me. We're not, we're not cool like that. I appreciate you listening and supporting, but we're not on the level where I want you to send me text messages or something, right? So don't do that. You can send me an email, or you can drop a comment and I'll try to answer it. Kitten update. Kitten update, by the way. The kittens are huge, and they're troublemakers, and they've really come into their own, too. I thought I had their attitudes pegged when they were little. I thought I was going to be able to tell, oh yeah, I think he's going to grow up to be more standoffish, but he'll come up and visit you sometimes, but he doesn't want you to, he's not a lap cat. His brother is going to be the lap cat, blah, blah, blah. And the two of them have just defied all my expectations, which is great. They're developing into their own attitudes and their own individual cat natures, I guess. They're both unique, and so it's great to see. And they get into everything. Oh my gosh, they've started climbing curtains. They have started climbing curtains and getting into every single empty box that they can find. They're trying to get into every room that they haven't been into yet. They're just all over the place. They're curious and they're crazy. But that's the kitten update for anybody who wondered about the kittens. They're doing well. They're healthy. They're developing. And there's a lot to keep track of. Man, I apologize for just constantly coughing in your ear over here. First I was eating in your ear. Now I'm coughing in your ear. It's a rough situation right here, isn't it? So there's current events. There's what's going on with me, and I also feel kind of bad. I know I'm not really being super entertaining with this one, but I'm exhausted. I don't feel good. I don't feel very well, so it's just been a crazy couple of weeks. Is what it is. Been a crazy couple of weeks. And I don't know if I really have much else to talk about. I might end up calling this one a little bit short. Just because I'm meandering and I'm just kind of rambling about whatever now. So I think probably we'll be finished. This is going to be a short episode. It's late, it's short, it's all kinds of messed up. It's not even a fun episode. I get it. People are going to be like, man, you really 1 week and you've already gone downhill. This is awful. Excuse me, pardon me. Next week will be better, I promise. I'll have an actual topic to talk about. A topic. Gotta pick a topic. I'll have an actual, stuff to say. We'll work through it. We'll spend some time on it. But I'm gonna go and relax a little bit. Probably wind down with a couple games and then go to bed early because I'm really kind of feeling out of it. So that's it. That's all I'm going to do. So anyway, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate all my listeners. I appreciate my subscribers. I appreciate everybody. Don't forget to go to the website, uncannymedia.net, to listen to the podcast, to watch videos, to find some great merch, and to see all of our great affiliates. Great, 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 great. Everything's great. Ding. Reference. That's all. Thanks for listening. Have a good night.